What if I told you, and most of the pain you carry isn't even yours? It came from expectations, judgments, and stories other people placed on you. But today, you get to put them down. You get to breathe as your true self, maybe for the first time. Have you ever wondered what your life would feel like if the weight of other people's expectations simply disappeared? Not having to constantly explain yourself, not worrying about whether someone approves, not shrinking or bending just to fit in. Imagine waking up with a quiet, spacious mind, free, steady, and grounded. A life where your heart is no longer pulled around by every opinion, mood, or judgment around you. Just you, living honestly, lightly, and peacefully from the inside out. Many people think freedom is something outside. More money, more achievements, more admiration. But in Buddhist wisdom, especially Zen teachings, true freedom begins when you stop letting the world decide who you should be. When you stop giving your happiness away every time someone frowns, criticizes, or misunderstands you. There is a saying in Zen, a bird does not sing to be heard, it sings because it has a song. What would change in your life if you lived like that? Maybe right now you still feel the pressure to be successful, to be liked, to be perfect, to never disappoint anyone. And every time someone judges you, your mind tightens. You replay conversations, worry about the future, try to control everything just to feel safe. That exhaustion you carry, it's not because life is too heavy. It's because you're carrying what was never yours. When you live based on expectations, you become a prisoner of invisible chains. But when you learn to let go, not by ignoring the world, but by understanding it, you return to your true nature, calm, confident, compassionate. This video will guide you through 9 powerful lessons rooted in Buddhist wisdom to help you release emotional pressure, reclaim your inner space, and reconnect with the person you truly are. And at the end, there will be one bonus insight, something simple yet transformative, that many people overlook on their journey. As you listen, don't just collect ideas, feel them. Notice what resonates in your body. Ask yourself, what part of me is ready to be free? Because the moment you stop living for others, something extraordinary happens. Your inner voice becomes clearer. Your relationships become more authentic. Your happiness stops depending on unpredictable emotions or external approval. Freedom is not a distant dream. It begins with a single shift, choosing yourself gently and quietly from within. Now we will move into the first core teaching in today's video, releasing what continues to hurt you. Have you ever noticed that the moments that hurt the most are not always the ones happening right now, but the ones we keep replaying, holding, gripping tightly in our minds? Someone said something years ago, a relationship ended, a dream failed, someone disappointed you, and yet the pain feels fresh, as if it just happened. Why? Because suffering does not come only from the event itself. It comes from the way we hold on to it. There's a Zen teaching that says, the pain is the rope burning your hand, but the suffering is refusing to let go. Imagine you are holding a rope and someone pulls it suddenly. The rope burns your skin. The smart response would be to release it. But many of us, we do the opposite. We grip tighter. We say, I can't let go. They shouldn't have done that. I need answers, closure, justice. So the rope cuts deeper. Not because life is cruel, but because we are still holding it. Letting go is often misunderstood as weakness, avoidance, or giving up. But in Buddhist wisdom, especially Zen, letting go is an act of tremendous courage. It means choosing your peace over your pride. It means valuing your inner freedom more than the need to control outcomes. Think about water flowing in a river. It doesn't cling to a single rock and cry, "Why are you here? Why did you hurt me?" It simply continues moving. Not because it forgets, but because its nature is to flow. What would your life look like if you allowed yourself to flow again? Maybe you are holding on to a past relationship, a betrayal, a moment when someone judged you unfairly. Every time you revisit it, your mind tightens. Your chest becomes heavy, your energy drains. That weight you feel is not the event, it's the attachment. Zen monks often ask students a simple question. Who is suffering? The person who caused the pain or the one who holds it? We already know the answer. Letting go doesn't mean you approve of what happened. It means you refuse to let it control you anymore. But how do we release something that feels so deeply embedded? Start with awareness. Notice the moment your mind returns to the old wound. Don't fight it. Simply see it. There it is again. The memory I hold on to. Then ask yourself gently, is holding this helping me? If the answer is no, then letting go becomes an act of self-compassion. Here's a powerful image you can try. Imagine placing that painful memory onto a leaf floating on a river. Watch it drift away, not forced, not rushed, just carried naturally by the current. Your mind, like water, knows how to move on when you stop gripping the shore. The moment you loosen your grasp, something incredible happens. Your body relaxes, your breath deepens, your heart opens. You make space for joy, connection, creativity, and healing. Happiness doesn't enter a clenched fist. It needs an open hand. So as we go through these teachings, ask yourself, what am I still holding that continues to hurt me? What would happen if I put it down, even just a little? Letting go is not about forgetting. It's about choosing freedom. And today, as we explore the first lesson, remember this. You deserve a life that feels light. You deserve to breathe without carrying yesterday's weight. You deserve peace, not someday, but now. And as we gently release what continues to hurt us, something deeper begins to surface. Another hidden source of suffering that quietly shapes our lives every single day. This brings us to the next teaching in today's video, freedom from the need for approval. For many of us, the desire to be accepted feels natural. We want to be liked, understood, appreciated. From childhood, we learned that approval meant safety. A smile meant we belonged. A frown meant we were at risk of losing love. So without realizing it, we build our identity around how others respond to us. But here is the painful truth. When your self-worth depends on someone else's approval, you give them the power to define you. You become like a leaf in the wind, lifted when praised, crushed when criticized. One compliment makes you feel alive. One disapproving look steals your confidence. You smile, you agree, you shrink. You pretend, all to avoid rejection, and slowly you lose yourself. Zen teaches that true value does not come from being admired. It comes from simply being what you are. Think of a lotus flower. It rises through mud, pushes through dark water, and blooms in the open air. It doesn't wait for someone to say, "Good job." It doesn't bloom only when the world approves. It blooms because that is its nature. Imagine walking up to a blooming lotus and saying, "I don't like you," or "You're not impressive." The flower would not close in shame. It would not bloom harder to win you over. It simply remains itself, open, radiant, peaceful. What if you lived like that? What if your worth was not negotiable, not dependent on someone's mood, opinion, or misunderstanding? Many people spend their whole lives trying to fit into the expectations of others, family, society, partners, co-workers. They mold themselves like clay, hoping to finally hear, "You're enough." But the moment they receive it, fear appears again. What if I lose their approval? That fear becomes a cage. Approval is unstable. It changes with trends, emotions, and personal biases. People may approve of you today and reject you tomorrow for reasons that have nothing to do with your value. In Buddhist wisdom, seeking constant approval is like trying to hold sunlight in your hands. No matter how tightly you grasp, it slips through your fingers. So how do we step out of this cycle? It begins with recognizing a simple but powerful truth. Your worth is not a vote. It is not a negotiation. It is not a performance. You were valuable the moment you were born, before you did anything to earn praise. Try this reflection for a moment. Think of someone you love deeply. Do you love them only when they succeed? Only when they impress you? Or do you love them simply because of who they are? That same unconditional value exists in you. Now imagine living a life where you no longer need to explain your choices to be accepted, where you can say no without guilt, where you can be honest without fear. A life where you allow others to misunderstand you without losing peace. That is freedom. Zen masters often say, when you stop trying to be liked, you become real. And when you become real, the right people stay. When you let go of the need for approval, something beautiful happens. Your voice becomes clearer. Your relationships become more authentic. You attract those who resonate with your true self, not the mask you wear. And the people who leave, they were never meant to stay. The lotus does not bend toward every passerby, begging to be appreciated. It stands rooted in its essence, and by doing so it inspires, not by trying but by being. So ask yourself gently, how much of my life has been shaped by the fear of not being accepted? What would change if I allowed myself to bloom without permission? Freedom is not about rejecting others. It is about returning to your truth. And the moment you live from that truth, you discover something life-changing. You do not need to be understood to be worthy. You do not need approval to be whole. You only need the courage to be yourself. As we begin to release the constant need for approval, a quiet truth starts to emerge, one that has been silently shaping our suffering all along. It's the subtle resistance we feel when life refuses to stay the same. And this brings us to the next lesson in today's video, embracing the flow of impermanence. Today, we will go into this first part of the video, exploring how understanding impermanence can transform the way we live and feel. Change is the only constant. The seasons shift, our relationships evolve, our bodies age, and even our emotions rise and fall like waves on the ocean. Yet so much of our pain comes not from the change itself, but from our desire to cling to what was, to stop the flow, to hold on as if we could pause the river of life in our hands. Have you ever tried holding water in your palm? The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers, leaving emptiness in its place. That is exactly how clinging to life's moments feels. The more we try to control or freeze them, the more they escape us, leaving only frustration and grief. In Buddhist wisdom, this is called anicca, the truth of impermanence. It teaches us that nothing stays fixed. Everything is in a constant state of becoming and dissolving. When we understand this, a deep freedom begins to surface. Instead of fearing endings, we begin to see them as openings, doors that allow new experiences, growth, and healing. Imagine the first spring after a harsh winter. Buds emerge, flowers bloom, and the world feels fresh. If winter had clung on indefinitely, spring could never arrive. Impermanence also invites us to savor every fleeting moment. When we recognize that each laugh, each hug, each shared glance is transient, we learn to treasure it rather than take it for granted. Your connection with a friend, the warmth of the sun on your face, the quiet comfort of your morning tea, each is precious precisely because it won't last forever. Life is not meant to be frozen in a perfect state. It is meant to flow, and our happiness arises when we learn to move with it rather than against it. Consider how resistance creates suffering. We mourn the past because we wish it were still present. We fear the future because we hope it will remain unchanged. But change is not our enemy. It is the force that allows wounds to heal, grief to soften, and new beginnings to appear. Imagine a river. If you try to stop it with your hands, you only exhaust yourself and fail. But if you let it flow, the water nourishes everything along its path. Impermanence is the river of life, and our task is not to stop it, but to learn to float gracefully within it. There's also a profound beauty in this acceptance. The awareness that nothing lasts gives weight to the present. We start to live fully in each moment because we know it is unique, never to return in the same form. Joy deepens, love expands, and even sorrow becomes a teacher rather than a prison. We begin to understand that endings are necessary for beginnings, and each ending carries the seed of something new. One practical way to cultivate this awareness is mindfulness. Pause during your day and notice what is changing. The light in your room, the expression on someone's face, the rhythm of your own breath. Each observation is a gentle reminder that life is in motion, and that letting go does not mean loss. It means freedom. We learn to loosen our grip on people, emotions, and situations, trusting that life is always giving us what we need in each moment. Embracing impermanence does not make us passive, it makes us profoundly present. We no longer cling to a sense of control that never existed. We no longer grieve unnecessarily over what is past, nor fear what is yet to come. Instead, we dance with life's changes, allowing each moment to teach, to heal, and to awaken us. So as you reflect on your own life, ask yourself, which moments am I trying to hold on to too tightly? Where am I resisting the natural flow? And what beauty might emerge if I allowed life to move freely, trusting in the unfolding of impermanence? By welcoming the truth of change, we open ourselves to the deepest forms of freedom, presence, and joy, the kind that no storm can ever take away. As we release the grip on impermanence and learn to flow with life, there is a natural next step waiting for us, a gentle invitation to turn inward, to find a sanctuary in the midst of chaos. And so, we arrive at the next lesson in today's video, returning to inner stillness. We will go into this next part of the video to explore how cultivating inner calm can restore balance and clarity in a world that never stops moving. The world around us is relentlessly noisy. From the moment we wake, screens light up with messages, notifications, news, and endless streams of other people's lives. Ads whisper that we are missing out. Opinions shout about how we should think, feel, and act. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the noise seeps into our minds, clouding our clarity and distracting us from the quiet truth of our own hearts. When we live constantly in this outer turbulence, we lose touch with the stillness within, the center that has always been waiting quietly for us to notice. Buddhism teaches the art of mindful detachment as a path to reclaiming this inner sanctuary. It is not about rejecting the world or escaping responsibilities. It is about learning to stand amid life's storms without being swept away. Imagine your mind as a lake. When disturbed by wind and ripples, it cannot reflect the sky above. Only in stillness does it reveal clarity, showing us the vastness beyond our fleeting thoughts and emotions. This is the essence of equanimity, a heart that remains steady even as life shifts unpredictably. So let's go into the first part of this section, returning to inner stillness. Practicing stillness can be as simple as pausing, closing your eyes, and following your breath. Notice the gentle rise and fall of your chest, the subtle rhythm of life flowing through you. In these moments, the noise of the world starts to fade. We do not need to respond to every message, every thought, every emotional ripple. Like the surface of a quiet lake, we allow disturbances to pass without disturbing our depth. A powerful practice is a mindful observation. Watch your thoughts as they arise and fall, like clouds drifting across the vast sky of your awareness. When you catch yourself pulled into worry, judgment, or comparison, gently return to your breath. Over time, this creates a sanctuary inside, a space where you are no longer defined by external chaos or fleeting opinions. You begin to recognize that calmness is not a luxury, but a fundamental necessity for navigating life with clarity and compassion. Returning to inner stillness also strengthens your resilience. Life is constantly changing. Situations arise that challenge your patience, relationships fluctuate, and emotions ebb and flow. Without an inner anchor, we are tossed about by every breeze. But when we cultivate stillness, we find that our center remains untouched, like a mountain standing unmoved amid passing storms. Even in turmoil, the lake within can mirror the sky, reflecting reality with clarity rather than distortion. The benefits extend beyond mere calmness. When we connect with this inner silence, our responses to life become less reactive and more considered. Anxiety softens, impulsivity diminishes, and we act from wisdom rather than habit. The ability to pause, observe, and respond thoughtfully transforms ordinary moments into opportunities for insight and growth. We begin to live from our own truth, guided by the quiet compass of our heart, rather than the noisy demands of the external world. Let me give you a simple visualization. Picture yourself standing beside a lake at dawn. The water is perfectly still, reflecting the soft colors of the sky. A single leaf drifts down, touches the surface, and moves on. You do not chase it, nor cling to it. You simply watch it pass. That is your mind at its truest, aware, steady, and free. This is the power of returning to inner stillness, a sanctuary that exists in everyone, waiting for acknowledgement. In practice, you can bring this stillness into every day. Pause before reaching for your phone. Take a slow breath before responding to a message. Walk without headphones and notice the rhythm of life. Even 5 minutes of true attention to your own breath can reconnect you to the depth and spaciousness that has always been within you. By returning to inner stillness, we reclaim the clarity and balance that allow us to navigate life with equanimity. The world will continue to shift, but our inner sanctuary remains. Peace does not come from controlling the outer environment. It comes from tending to the quiet center within. And as we nurture this sanctuary, we discover a profound freedom, an unshakable calm, and a clarity of mind that guides every step we take. As we've explored the calm of returning to inner stillness, there is a profound insight awaiting us in the next step of our journey. And so we now move to the next part of the video. You are the sky, not the clouds. In this section, we will uncover how understanding the difference between your true self and your passing thoughts can transform your freedom and peace in everyday life. Have you ever noticed how thoughts can dominate your mood and shape your reality, even when they are fleeting and often untrue? From the moment we wake, the mind begins to chatter, replaying fears, regrets, and imagined futures. We often treat these thoughts as if they define us, allowing them to dictate our emotions, actions, and sense of self-worth. But Buddhism offers a simple, yet revolutionary perspective. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the vast open sky within which these clouds, your passing thoughts, come and go. Let's go into the first part of this section. You are the sky, not the clouds. Picture a bright sky at dawn. Clouds drift across, some light and playful, others dark and heavy, carrying worries or sadness. Notice that no matter how many clouds pass, the sky itself remains untouched, vast and open. In the same way, your thoughts and feelings are temporary events passing through consciousness. Observing them without attachment or judgment allows you to reclaim the freedom that has always been your natural state. One practical exercise is mindful observation. When a negative thought arises, I'm not enough, I'm failing, or they don't like me, pause for a moment and acknowledge it. Here's a thought. Watch it drift by like a cloud across the sky. You do not need to argue with it, feed it, or follow it. By simply noticing, you create space between yourself and the habit of identifying with every passing thought. Over time, this cultivates clarity, calm, and emotional resilience. This perspective transforms how we experience both small and large challenges. Anger, anxiety, and self-doubt no longer dominate our internal landscape. They may arise, but they do not control us. When a storm passes through the sky, the vastness remains. The clouds dissolve, revealing the same unshakable expanse. So too with your mind. Freedom emerges not from controlling every thought, but from recognizing that thoughts are not you. They are transient visitors in the boundless space of your awareness. Imagine your mind as a radio playing countless channels: judgment, planning, memory, worry. Buddhism teaches us to listen without becoming the music. You hear it, but you do not need to obey or react. By distinguishing between the transient content of thought and the deep, spacious awareness beneath, we reclaim a profound inner freedom. Our reactions become intentional, not automatic. Our energy is preserved rather than scattered. Understanding this principle is especially powerful in stressful situations. When criticism or unexpected challenges arise, notice your initial mental reaction, observe it, let it pass, and choose your response from the grounded, wide sky of awareness rather than the fluctuating clouds of emotion. This subtle shift is the key to lasting peace and emotional freedom. Consider one more metaphor. You are standing on a mountain and the clouds roll in and out, obscuring the peaks and valleys at times. You may feel momentarily confined or distracted, yet the mountain itself, the enduring, spacious, sky-like part of your being, remains unaffected. The storms will pass. Clarity returns. This is the freedom that comes from realizing you are the sky, not the clouds. By practicing this awareness daily, freedom begins to feel natural. You learn to watch thoughts without attachment, respond rather than react, and remain anchored in the vast space of your inner self. Emotional turbulence still arises, but it no longer has the power to define you. In this clarity, you discover a quiet strength, a deep resilience, and a freedom that is always accessible, no matter the circumstances. Ultimately, recognizing that you are the sky, not the clouds, allows you to live fully, with presence and composure, moving through life without being swept away by temporary thoughts and emotions. It is in this awareness that true freedom and peace take root, offering a calm, spacious refuge in the heart of everyday life. As we've seen how observing thoughts like clouds can bring a sense of inner freedom, it's time to explore the next vital lesson in our journey. And so, we now move to the next part of the video. Stop chasing happiness, live it now. Here we'll discover why true happiness is not waiting at the finish line of some distant goal, but already present in the small, fleeting moments of life. Many of us spend decades running after happiness as if it were a faraway horizon. I'll be happy when I get that promotion, when I look better, when someone loves me, or when all my problems vanish. We are conditioned to believe that life will feel complete only once we achieve something or fix everything. Yet ironically, this constant pursuit often leaves us exhausted, anxious, and detached from the very life that is happening now. The Buddha reminds us that suffering comes from clinging to one day in the future. Imagine holding out your hand, waiting for a perfect drop of water that never comes. Meanwhile, the gentle rain of the present, your breath, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the aroma of morning coffee falls freely around you, unnoticed. Happiness is not a goal to attain. It is the natural resonance of presence. Here's a practice. Pause for a moment. Close your eyes. Take a slow, deliberate breath. Feel the weight of your hands, the rise and fall of your chest. Notice the subtle sensations, the quiet vibration of life moving through you. These tiny moments, often overlooked, are the very threads from which happiness is woven. When we stop chasing, we allow life to reveal its inherent richness. The more you resist the urge to control and predict, the more effortlessly joy can emerge. Consider this metaphor. Imagine trying to catch butterflies with clenched fists. The harder you chase, the more they elude you. But when you open your hands and stand still in the garden, the butterflies land naturally, dancing around you. This is how happiness works. It comes not from grasping or striving, but from slowing down and embracing the present with full attention. Living happiness now also changes our perception of challenges. Stress, uncertainty, and disappointment are no longer obstacles to joy, but opportunities to notice the richness of the present. Even in pain or difficulty, if we stay grounded in awareness, we can find moments of softness, gratitude, and ease. Life becomes less about the distant someday and more about the quiet miracles unfolding breath by breath. So let us step fully into this lesson. Stop waiting for happiness to arrive at some imagined destination. Pause, breathe, and become aware of the beauty already surrounding you. Each sunrise, each breath, each small act of being is a portal into joy that has been here all along. Happiness is never a prize to win. It is the song of your own heart, waiting to be remembered. From realizing that happiness is present in the now, we naturally flow into the final lesson for today. And so we move to the next part of the video. Choose compassion over control. Here we confront one of the deepest sources of suffering, the human urge to control life, others, and even ourselves. Control often stems from fear, the fear of being hurt, misunderstood, or left vulnerable. We try to steer outcomes, manipulate people, and force situations to fit our expectations. Yet every grasp tightens the chains of suffering. Life is like water slipping through our fingers. The more we resist its flow, the more exhausted and wounded we become. Compassion, on the other hand, offers freedom. Choosing compassion over control means releasing the need to dictate every outcome, to mold others, or to force your own healing. It is the gentle courage to allow things to be as they are while holding space for yourself and others. Imagine a river flowing naturally. You can swim in it, float along, and appreciate its beauty without trying to dam its current. Practicing compassion includes forgiving yourself for still feeling pain, giving yourself permission to heal in your own time, and extending kindness to others even when they disappoint or hurt you. It is an embrace of life's imperfections, a recognition that growth cannot be rushed or coerced. Healing is not linear. It unfolds quietly, like a lotus rising from muddy waters, reaching the sun in its own rhythm. One practical way to cultivate compassion is through mindful reflection. When you notice a controlling thought, I must fix this, they should act differently. Pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what if I let go? What if I met this moment with kindness instead of force? Over time, this transforms the way we relate to ourselves and others. Relationships deepen, stress eases, and the heart feels lighter. Ultimately, choosing compassion over control is a daily practice, a conscious decision to trust life, embrace uncertainty, and soften the grip on what is not ours to command. It does not mean passivity or weakness. It is, in fact, the strongest form of courage, the courage to love, accept, and release without attachment. In these final lessons, we see the essence of Buddhist wisdom applied to modern life. Stop chasing, start living, and meet the world with a compassionate heart. Happiness and freedom are not distant goals. They are available here and now, the moment we open our awareness, release control, and allow life to flow through us naturally. As we've explored how choosing compassion over control can open our hearts, it naturally leads us to the next lesson. And so, we move to the next part of the video, letting go of expectations to live freely. Here we examine how the invisible chains of expectation can quietly shape our thoughts, actions, and sense of self. Expectations are like heavy backpacks we carry, often without realizing it. We want approval, perfection, or to please everyone around us. Every should becomes a weight that presses down on our spirit. Fat Jiao, Buddhism, teaches that suffering often arises not from what happens, but from clinging to outcomes. When we tightly grasp how things should be, we invite disappointment, frustration, and anxiety into our lives. Imagine a tree loaded with fruit. If we pull and tug at the branches trying to rip the fruit perfectly, we may break the branch, bruise the fruit, or miss the natural rhythm of harvest. Yet if we let the branches sway, accept which fruits fall naturally, and care for the tree without forcing it, the fruit ripens in its own time. Life works similarly. Expectations can distort our experience, whereas letting go allows our actions and interactions to flow more naturally. Letting go does not mean losing ambition or responsibility. It means acting without the constant pressure of judgment from others, or the fear of not being enough. It's the freedom to pursue what is meaningful, guided by inner clarity rather than external validation. When we release the obsession with results, we can fully immerse ourselves in the process, the learning, the effort, the connection, without being enslaved by reactions or opinions. A practical approach is to pause before acting or reacting. Ask yourself, am I doing this because it aligns with my values or because I fear what others will think? By bringing awareness to our motivations, we reclaim freedom. We notice how liberating it feels when our actions are fueled by intention rather than expectation. The lighter our hearts, the more creative, compassionate, and peaceful we become. Ultimately, letting go of expectations allows us to live with openness. The world becomes less about meeting a checklist of approval and more about experiencing life fully and authentically. Each breath, conversation, or small choice becomes a space of freedom rather than a test of worth. In this space, we can act, love, and grow without the invisible chains weighing us down. From releasing expectations, we naturally move to the next and final lesson, practicing disengagement with wisdom. This is not about becoming indifferent or cold, but about choosing where to place our energy, attention, and care wisely. In modern life, external opinions, judgments, and unsolicited advice constantly pull at us. If we react to everything, our mind becomes a storm, endlessly driven by forces outside of our control. The practice of disengagement allows us to observe these currents without being swept away. We set healthy boundaries, choosing to respond only to what truly matters. Think of it as standing on the shore and watching waves roll in. You don't try to stop the ocean, and you don't drown in every ripple. You simply notice, allow, and step in only when necessary. Similarly, we can observe our emotions, anger, envy, fear, without letting them dictate our actions. This cultivates a sense of inner calm, autonomy, and clarity. Disengagement is also an act of self-respect. It means prioritizing your peace and well-being, acknowledging that you cannot carry the weight of every expectation or judgment placed upon you. When practiced with awareness, it doesn't isolate us from the world. Rather, it allows us to engage with life fully, without unnecessary suffering. Another key aspect is self-acceptance. By choosing what truly deserves our attention and care, we nurture a steady foundation of inner stability. Our sense of worth no longer fluctuates with external approval. Happiness and peace are cultivated internally, independent of praise or criticism from the outside. Through this practice, we learn to let life flow around us without clinging, controlling, or reacting impulsively. We become like a still lake, reflecting the world clearly, while remaining untouched by turbulence. Disengagement with wisdom is not about avoidance, it's about intelligent, mindful participation in life. In combining these final lessons, letting go of expectations and practicing wise disengagement, we find a path to genuine freedom, inner peace, and self-directed living. Life becomes less about satisfying external pressures and more about honoring the present, nurturing our spirit, and living authentically with each breath. As we draw this journey to a close, take a moment to breathe deeply and feel it. Right now, in this very moment, happiness is not waiting for a distant goal. It is here, quietly resting in every inhale and exhale, waiting for you to notice. True freedom, real peace, emerges the moment we loosen our grip on control, expectations, and attachments. The chains we thought were holding life together are often the very chains that have held our hearts captive. Remember this: you are not your thoughts nor the judgments of others. You are the vast open sky beneath the passing clouds of opinion, worry, and fear. Every fleeting worry, every whisper of doubt does not define you. In the silence that remains when you let go, you find a strength deeper than any achievement, a calm brighter than any applause, a joy more constant than any fleeting pleasure. Imagine carrying the softness of this awareness into your daily life. Each breath becomes an anchor, each moment an opportunity to return home to yourself. The next time someone's words stir discomfort or a situation triggers anxiety, remember that you can stand still like a mountain, witness like a calm lake, and respond with intention rather than reaction. In this way, life unfolds not as a battle to be won, but as a path to be walked with mindful presence. I invite you now, share your reflections in the comments below. Tell us which lesson touched your heart most and how you plan to bring it into your life this week. By sharing, you not only strengthen your own journey, but join a growing community of souls seeking quiet wisdom, inner freedom, and gentle transformation. And don't forget, subscribe to this channel so we can continue exploring these lessons together, discovering more ways to live fully awake, calm, and present in every video ahead. As you step forward today, carry this truth gently in your chest. You are enough. Your peace is not something to be earned. Your happiness is not a prize to be claimed. It is your birthright, quietly woven into the fabric of your being. Move through the world with lightness, presence, and compassion for yourself and for those around you. Let the stillness within you radiate outward, touching everything you do with clarity and grace. This is the gift of letting go. This is the freedom of being truly alive. And as you breathe, pause and look around. Notice that the miracle of life is unfolding in this very instant. Hold it softly, live it fully, and return to it again and again. The journey continues, and the next video will guide us even deeper into the quiet wisdom that rests in every heart. Until then, walk gently, stay present, and keep returning to the stillness that is your true home.